I will not resign. That's the federal response, or official response, from the Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook after President Trump announced yesterday that he would be firing her effective immediately in a post on Truth Social. The president has accused Cook of mortgage fraud, but she has not been charged with any crime, let alone convicted. And the Federal Reserve is an independent entity, which brings up the question, can President Trump do this? Here with us now, NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Cheung and former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, Jared Bernstein. Okay, Brian, walk us through the allegations and how is Cook responding?
Yeah, Anna, let's rewind to last night when the president posted online this letter that he had sent to Lisa Cook, firing her. Again, in his signature, you're fired kind of a stance. But what the actual letter said is, quote, you are hereby removed from your position on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve effective immediately. The Federal Reserve Act provides that you may be removed at my discretion for cause. I have determined that there is sufficient cause to remove you from your position. We heard a few hours later from a lawyer representing Lisa Cook, an independent lawyer. So this is not the Federal Reserve's counsel. This is kind of an important point here, but she's taking issue with the for cause bit. So this is her statement, quote, President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under law and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. And again, what we're talking about here are these allegations of mortgage fraud where the head of the Federal Housing Finance Authority referred to the Department of Justice a criminal complaint against her, alleging that she filed for these mortgages and saying primary residence on multiple applications to try to get better financing. But again, the DOJ has not actually filed any charges against her. So for that reason, she's pushing back and saying, you can't just say that I did something allegedly and then fire me, quote, for cause. There needs to be more due process before I can defend myself, even in that situation. So I think the question here is, will a court provide an injunction if she does this challenge? There are a lot of questions going forward, but as far as markets are not really doing that much today, although you would imagine not a lot of traders are trying to put on their lawyer caps to try to figure out how all of this plays out.
Okay, Brian Cheung, thank you for laying it out for us. Jared, under the Federal Reserve Act, a Fed governor can only be removed for cause or some kind of wrongdoing. Here's the president's housing director pushing for a DOJ investigation into Cook. This was on CNBC last week. Watch.
We will look at any allegation of mortgage fraud, and we do not care whether you're a Republican, a Democrat. We do not care whether you're wealthy. We don't care whether you're a prosecutor. We don't care whether you're a Fed governor. If you commit mortgage fraud and you present an existential threat to the Federal Home Loan Banks, Fannie or Freddie, we are going to prosecute it, period.
Jared, in this specific case, can President Trump remove Lisa Cook from her position?
Well, first of all, thank you for giving me a chance to talk about this. This is an egregious move by the president. Look, we can talk all day about the legal ramifications here. I very much agree with the statement from Lisa Cook and her lawyer that there is zero evidence of cause at this point. However, let's be very clear. This is not about mortgage fraud. This is a Banana Republic style play, a power grab for President Trump to take control of the independent Federal Reserve, to force them to move interest rates in the direction he wants, which is aggressively downward, and its impact on America's standing in the world and on the living standards of households that will face higher interest rates is, at the bottom line, one of the most important things that's going on here. So I'm perfectly understand the need to look into the legal nuances here, but this is clearly a manipulative power grab by the president. Mortgage fraud is simply a pretext.
The Trump administration in this letter alleges that Cook claimed two properties, one in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and a condo in Atlanta as her primary home addresses. And this was within a couple weeks of purchasing each of these properties. Holt says this is falsified bank documents and property records. Now, we haven't seen these documents. If true, though, is that sufficient enough to prove wrongdoing?
Well, not a lawyer, so I don't want to try to get over my skis here. This was numerous years before Dr. Cook was appointed to the Fed. I've seen opinions on both sides of that. My prior is that it probably isn't. It certainly hasn't impacted her prosecution of monetary policy. So again, the broader point here, though, is that you see the Trump administration weaponizing the mortgage database that Pulte oversees. You see them going after anyone they can who pops up on that, excuse me, who pops up on that database, and not going after people like Ken Paxton, who apparently has 3 primary residents because he's a Republican. So this is very politically motivated.
And just as you were speaking, we got note that her lawyer, Lisa Cook's lawyer, plans to sue over this and how they'll fight this legally. So clearly not planning to resign, and she's not going away anytime soon. This is going to be a legal battle moving forward. Where do you think this is headed, and the impact of this? Again, her firing predicated on unproven allegations of mortgage fraud. She hasn't been charged. She hasn't been convicted of anything. What kind of effect could this move have on other federal board members that are part of the Federal Reserve? What could it mean for, what is supposed to be an independent institution?
Well, first of all, it's really important that they're fighting back, Lisa Cook and her lawyer, as hard as they seem to be doing, and a countersuit seems totally appropriate to me. And I think the answer to your question very much lies with the outcome of these cases. I've seen articles this morning suggesting that they have that Cook has the stronger legal case on this than the opposition. But you've continually made the bottom line point here, Anna, which is that nobody's seen the evidence. So this is all just stipulation at this point. I want to focus quickly on another bottom line. Look, this is part and parcel of a broader program to essentially break democracy. Armed troops on the street, they have a negative impact on commerce and on the general comfort, living standards of people. Fake statistics, a compromised Fed, tariffs, deportation, the unending chaos, and all the economic uncertainty that generates. All of that is going to hurt the living standards of average Americans, and not by a little, but by a lot. So let's not forget that when you compromise the independence of the central bank, that leads to higher interest rates, it leads to higher mortgages, credit card, auto loans. The bottom line here is that this will ultimately hurt the living standards of Americans, and it's one of the reasons why they have to fight back as hard as they can.
And Jared, I do want to point out that you had a role in selecting Lisa Cook to the Federal Reserve. Can you speak to her integrity for us?
Yeah, extremely high, her integrity. And I was, myself and my colleagues were very proud that President Biden appointed the first black woman as a governor of the Federal Reserve. Since she's been there, she's done important work, both in terms of monetary policy, but what she brings to the table, which is a deep history of the analysis of the role of race and racial discrimination in our economy. Her work has very strongly underscored the point that if institutions allow for racist kinds of measures to keep people out of the economy, out of the commerce, that hurts our innovation, it hurts our productivity, it hurts the ability of people to make the kind of contributions to the economy that Lisa herself has made. So there's a kind of an irony here that you have someone who's fought so hard for economic civil rights, as it were, being attacked so unjustly here.
Jared Bernstein, thanks so much for the conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.